Good morning, people. Well, I'm putting this printer through a second test now because the filament got stuck, and it's not the printer's fault that happened. That's the bloody filament that I bought a year ago, thereabouts. Haven't used it for a while, but it was wound poorly and wound too tightly, so it kept on having to be pulled off the thing. But anyway, I really wanted this printer to be good, and it kind of is when it gets going, and it's certainly got the build size that I need. However, it takes forever to bloody well start doing something. However, it does do an auto level every single time before it prints, so I guess in a way that's a good thing. Unlike my Elegoo one, my Neptune Plus 4, which now does a good job, but it did take a lot of fiddling around with leveling to get it correct, and it's not perfect, but at least it's fairly level. So it's sitting on the floor over there at the moment because there's nowhere else to put it. But the one thing I've noticed too is, see, if you look at my Elegoo, the spool holder is at the top. The spool holder is at the top. And I don't have any of that TFE tubing, or whatever they call it, the tubing that any cubic does. The filament just goes straight into the extruder, and I've not had any issues with that. Unlike the Anycubic one, which the same with my old one, uses this stupid tube. Instead of using the tube on this print, I've decided to feed the filament straight in, like my Elegoo, feeding it straight in. And I've put, instead of the spool holder, I'm using another spool holder that I printed up last year for 2 kilo spools, and I'm putting it to the side, because the spool holder that comes with it, I don't know if other people notice this, but the spool holder there, you either feed it underneath or over, but it's got to come up then at an angle to come up into this tube. So it's really, really awkward to work with. So I'm just putting it straight across for now, and I think I'd rather have the spool holder up on top like the bloody Elegoo. However, the point of the Ace Colour unit was also to be a spool holder and make everything nice and easy, but it's not working, and I pulled out the hub board. This was suggested by the support team to examine the hub board. Well, they told me how to pull it out, and I pulled it out and had a look. It was only 4 screws, 2 to take the cover off and 2 to take the board off. I cannot see any issues with that circuit or the board. I can't see any issue. However, it still won't communicate. So I don't know. I'm still waiting for support to get back to me and see what the story is. I know the box switch is on. It feeds out the filament, but it won't communicate. And I've checked the cable, the signal cable. I've checked that with a multimeter, so there's no breaks in the cable. So the fault is either here or here, and that I don't know. So I'm waiting for support to get back to me. So now we're doing another test. We're doing this thing called a shark beer bottle opener. And you can see at the moment what it's doing. It's probing, it's auto leveling. Now, I have not had a printer that does this for every single print, so I don't know if it's... I've never had to do that with my Elegoo. Once I've got it level, it'll last for a while until I have to manually do it again. But this is a big bed that it uses, so I'll let it go through, but it does this auto leveling every single time, so it's not necessarily a bad thing, but we'll see how this one goes. My first print did not come out finished because the filament got stuck, and it must have been sitting there for hours trying to stretch it out, and it wasn't working. So luckily it hasn't clogged up the head. I've done an extrusion and put some fresh filament. I've cut all that stuff that was cut it all off that was wound too tight. Hopefully I got down to a lower level, because that over there is the amount of material so far that is going to be wasted. So unfortunately, anyway, we'll see how this one goes. We'll see how this shark beer bottle opener goes. The only good thing is you can use a webcam. I did have this spare webcam that I was using my Elegoo, and you can use that camera. You can use any webcam, plug it into the USB, and you can get your signal through, so that's a good thing. So we'll let this go through and I'll come back to it after it's done.